For more than a century, diesel power has been the muscle behind the global demolition and construction industry. From remote mine sites in Australia to crowded city centres in Europe, the hum and rattle of diesel engines have signalled progress, productivity, and profit. But that familiar sound will soon begin to fade. In its place comes a quieter revolution: electric and hydrogen powered machinery. Cleaner, quieter, and potentially more efficient, these machines promise to lower emissions, improve air quality, and reshape how construction and demolition are done. But behind the environmental promise lies a troubling truth. This transition is not an equal opportunity event. It favours the giants: Caterpillar, Komatsu, Liebherr, Volvo, Hitachi, XCMG, leaving thousands of smaller equipment manufacturers at risk of being left behind or swept aside entirely. This isn't just an environmental shift, it's a tectonic market shakeup. The multi-billion-dollar manufacturers that dominate global construction equipment sales are uniquely positioned to lead this green transformation. They have the capital, the scale, and the R&D might to not just adopt clean technologies, but to design entirely new machines around them. Volvo, for example, has committed to phasing out diesel-powered compact equipment in favour of electric alternatives. Liebherr is trialling hydrogen-powered machinery in Europe. Komatsu and Caterpillar are reimagining machines from the ground up rather than retrofitted from diesel platforms. These companies aren't just reacting to change, they're orchestrating it. Why? Because they can afford to. Developing an electric drivetrain, integrating battery management systems, and optimizing machine performance is costly and complex. Building a hydrogen powered excavator from scratch requires deep pockets, deep partnerships, and a long runway, luxuries that most smaller manufacturers rarely enjoy. At the opposite end of the spectrum sit thousands of small and mid sized equipment makers who build everything from site dumpers and skid steers to mini excavators and specialty demolition gear as well. Many rely on off the shelf diesel engines from suppliers like Yanmar, Perkins, Kubota, Deutz, or Cummins. They don't manufacture engines, they integrate them. These companies often operate on razor thin margins and tight development cycles. Few have dedicated R&D departments. Fewer still have in-house software teams or battery engineers. Their business model depends on being agile, efficient, and fast to market, not spending millions reimagining every product line from the ground up. The transition to electric or hydrogen threatens to derail that model entirely. If battery electric power becomes the norm, smaller firms must wait for compatible, affordable, drop in solutions from engine suppliers, a process that's already lagging behind demand. If hydrogen becomes dominant, they face even greater hurdles: cost, infrastructure, safety systems, training, certification, and component sourcing. Engine suppliers themselves are also navigating turbulent waters. Some are investing heavily in hybrid and electric systems. Others are hedging, unsure of how quickly markets will shift or which technologies will prevail. The result is a fragmented landscape where small OEMs can't confidently plan for the future. Even where electric options exist, they may not be suitable. A diesel engine offers robust power in a compact, affordable, rugged form. Replicating that performance in an electric package isn't always possible, especially in niche applications where machines are exposed to harsh conditions, long run times, and brutal power demands. With limited supply chain options and a growing list of regulatory pressures, many small manufacturers face a bleak choice: innovate or exit. And this is how markets consolidate, not through overt mergers or aggressive takeovers, but by creating conditions where only the strongest will survive. If small and mid tier manufacturers can't keep pace with the regulatory timelines, infrastructure demands, and technological complexity, they risk becoming irrelevant. Customers will gravitate towards suppliers with future proof products, fleet wide zero emission options, and robust service support. Meanwhile, the larger manufacturers will continue to benefit from economies of scale, government grants, regulatory influence, and the ability to shape global standards. They'll set the pace and the tone of the transition. Everyone else will follow or fall behind. And there's another risk here, more subtle but equally profound. Some machine types may simply disappear. If the economies of electrifying a low volume niche machine don't stack up, it may never get redeveloped. That means loss of diversity in the market. It means fewer options for contractors with specific needs. And it means the erosion of the rich ecosystem of machines that make modern construction and demolition possible. Consider the companies that truly build niche products for very specific applications or for specific geographic markets. Many of those machines are already bespoke, engineered for particular environments. Electrifying them requires re engineering everything: layout, counterbalance, cooling, hydraulics. For a company making a few dozen units a year, the cost would be prohibitive. In the name of progress, we risk sacrificing the very machines that make the built world function at its edges. The danger here is not innovation, it's unequal innovation. The industry mustn't allow a green transition to become a green monopoly. There are solutions. Open source electric drivetrains could be shared across manufacturers. Governments could offer targeted grants to smaller firms, not just industry titans. Collaborative platforms could be formed to develop common electric and hydrogen architectures that reduce cost and complexity for all. Trade associations too have a role to play. By advocating for inclusive standards and resisting one size fits all regulations, they can ensure that innovation doesn't inadvertently crush the very firms that bring agility and diversity to the sector. Finally, engine manufacturers, the traditional linchpins in all of this, must commit to supporting their downstream OEM partners. If they abandon diesel before viable replacements are ready at scale, they risk hollowing out the very market they depend on and that depends on them. Now, the shift to clean energy in construction and demolition is necessary. It's overdue. Environmentally and from a sustainability standpoint, it is the right thing to do. But we've got to be honest about the consequences. This is not a neutral transition. It's one that heavily favours those with deep pockets, vertical integration, and political influence. In our drive to decarbonise the industry, we must be careful not to de-diversify it. The market doesn't need fewer players. It needs more collaboration, more support, and more thoughtful policy to ensure the road to zero emissions doesn't become a one-lane highway reserved only for the elite. Because a cleaner future shouldn't come at the cost of a smaller, less innovative, and less competitive industry.